Alrighty, just making sure this actually looks half decent on my end. I don't have dual monitors. So, just using my computer. Or, computer, my phone. That way I can still see chat. Alright, so trying out all low settings. I don't normally stream on this computer. It's a little bit too far away from my router, so it doesn't get the greatest upload speed, but I think I should be fine for the most part. Just curious to see what FPS I get on all low settings, to see if I can hold at least 200 FPS. How's it going, man? Always gotta be 90. Oh, MB5. Words are easy peasy. The video drives are actually doing a lot better than it was before. A little bit disappointed I wasn't holding nearly a high FPS a couple days ago. Did not expect that to be enough to hurt me. Oh, there's a guy right there. So many people. Alright, let's try epic view distance. Yes, I can. Oh, there is somebody here. It's the Ryzen 5 3600 overclocked to a 4.2. Oh wow, didn't even hear him. Wow. That happened pretty quick. Well, the i5 9600 by far. i5 is better? Yeah, the i5 is better. 100%. But yeah, over the i5 9400, this is better. But yeah, my i5 9600K crushes this thing in every category. Pretty much beats every Ryzen. How the hell am I getting so unlucky? That guy just quit or die? forgot to reload. Oh my god. Keep doing such stupid decisions. Hello. Try this again. My other computer performs way better. This one performs totally fine for the price, but yeah, the Intel's definitely performs better. If I took out this graphics card and put it into my other computer, my 2060, into my i5 9600K, I think it would still perform better than the Ryzen 5 3600 with a 2070 Super. I should actually try that one day. That'd be interesting. I just find Intel's keep a much higher FPS stable. The Ryzen works perfectly fine, but it's not quite as good. Yeah, the i5 9600K performs way better. Ryzen has a weird thing where it doesn't let the CPU ever get to top marks. Like, even if I try all epic, it still won't hit very, very high percent on the CPU. Usually sits around, I want to say 80 at the highest. It usually doesn't go any higher than that. While Intel's rocks up all the way to around the 90%. Alright, let's go die. Here, let's try cranking some more of these down. Effects, don't care about you. Textures, I'll keep. Post-processing, epic view, epic textures. I'll have to read all that in a little bit. Alright, hold on. Let me just hide in here and I'll read all those. And then answer the question. Alright, what does it say? Performs better. Sorry about Ryzen. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of questions. So the problem with Ryzen's is that they use an outdated source, which is thread. Where they... words. Darn it, I'm forgetting the stupid word. Basically... Darn it, why am I drawing a blank? Thread... Damn it! It's always on the top of my head, I always remember it, but I can't remember it this time. Not thread sharing, but because there's more cores than threads, it slows down each core, because each core is dictated to control 2 threads. Usually those threads aren't controlled by the exact same thing. Like, sometimes you think that the CPU usage would be the CPU 1 is getting used more than CPU 6, but really sometimes 6 gets more used than run. And then with the, it's not thread ripping? Thread sharing? I can't remember the stupid word. But because of that, it slows it down for gaming. Yes, it's better in terms of streaming, like what I'm doing now, but it is not better in source of gaming. It slows it down. For the most part, Intel has completely removed it from their regular lineup. The only one that really has is the i9, which performs pretty much the exact same as the Intel i7 9700K, as it's the same as the i9 9900K because the thread sharing doesn't keep up or register in gaming. It's basically just better for multitasking or knowing how to multitask. And I use a 144Hz monitor on this one. But I don't have a single problem with my Intel, like, at all. I can stream on it, I could render videos in 4K, like, I want to say a 30 or 40 minute long video usually takes me about an hour and a half to get done. It's the exact same time as what this would do. My RAM speed is set to 3000, but I can overclock it easily to 3200, because that's what most people do with the one that I have, or this set I have. Because it takes up, like, the majority of my screen. I am sorry. Yeah, I know you can lower the size of your fonts, but then people wouldn't be able to see it. I mean, I can turn on the transparency, but then, again, people will struggle to see it over what sort of textures are behind it. I turn it on for one game, but I really don't prefer it. Okay, so CPU usage 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go. So here's that thing that I was talking about where it doesn't necessarily use the same CPU that you would think. Like, you think 1, 2, 3, and 4 would be the majority, but no, it skips it for whatever reason. Then 5 starts using it. Then the threads that are getting used on 1 is basically bottlenecking itself. I don't know. The Ryzen 3600 is much better with it, with the new technology they have over the previous generations, but it still slows it down in gaming. Hyper-threading. That's the stupid word. I just remembered it. Yeah, hyper-threading. So Intel used to do it back in, I don't know, 2016, I think is when they really got rid of it for the most part, where they used to have the i3 7100 with 2 cores, 4 threads, work perfect for gaming, but it would slow down for everything else. And then the most popular Intel I think they ever sold would have been the i7 4790 and the 4790K, which also was 4-core 8-thread, which has its downfalls, but at that time having 8 threads was crazy high. Curious to see what Intel comes out with next, if they will ever make a budget, low-costing CPU with 8 cores, 8 threads that's not the i7. Because I think their biggest accomplishment was coming out with the i5 8400, where it was 6 core, 6 thread. It was the first Intel CPU that was affordable for almost everyone to actually get into more high-end CPUs over the i5 7400. Yes, it is better than the Ryzen 7. And the Ryzen 7s are a weird one. They're not very good for gaming. Like the Ryzen 5 2600X scores better than a lot of the previous generation Ryzens in gaming. And I also like Intel better personally because the pins are located on the motherboard rather than on the CPU. Replacing a CPU is much more of a headache, hassle, and costs a lot more money than just replacing the motherboard. If in case you are like me and you're constantly pulling from in and out. Wow, how did I not block him? Ah. Overclocking RAM's not risky. Here, I'll do it real quick. I don't think I've done it on this computer. But there is one quick trick to try to not get so much FPS drop. You just go over to your power settings. Go to this one, and then you want to show more, and you want the high performance. Yeah, I didn't do it yet. So set it up to the high performance, then close it. Sometimes that can help with FPS drop. Now the only problem is that it can cause your PC to get a little bit hotter, and it will usually run up your electric bill by a little bit more. No, stop it. That was a close one. Of course, yeah, shoot. Alright, I'm sorry. I'll read these stupid things and try to catch up. RX 570. I wouldn't say that it doesn't feel completely not smooth. Well, I am using 144 Hz monitor, and my other one is 240 Hz, so it's not really a fair comparison. Yeah, I get an incredible FPS drop with this Ryzen as well. Even with an overclocking, I'm on the fence if I want to actually change the voltage and increase the amount, but I really don't want to. I find that every once in a while games will just randomly crash. And I'm using an MSI 27-inch 144 Hz monitor for this one, the curved one with a red stand. Epic view distance and epic textures. Everything else is low. Please have something to heal. Good enough. And I'm dead. I did notice that when I was playing with the snowstorm, I was getting FPS drop all the way down to 50. It would just be for a split second, but more than enough to get you killed. And yeah, I have G-Sync. At least I'm pretty sure it's enabled. Let's see. Wait forever for it to load up. And yes. Enabled for window and full screen mode. Uh, 360 hertz monitors are going to cost way more than what they're worth. Why would I want to do that? It would just cause major screen tearing. Let's find out what I get on all epic. And I flipped the wrong thing. So weird, I don't know. Weird that CPU 1 is doing less than CPU 5. Yeah, the Ryzen 5 1600 is very good. And I don't really notice any lag spikes, at least I didn't with the one that I had first, which I actually still have in my other computer that I'm just about to sell. But I do have to say, in comparison of the price of the Ryzen 3 1200 in terms of gaming, it doesn't do that much. The one Ryzen 5 1600 doesn't really do all that much better at max FPS on low settings. I was expecting an increase of over 20 FPS, and it really wasn't. So for the price, I don't know if I would really recommend it over if you are looking at getting one. So everyone always get lucky and get shields. I get garbage. Ooh. Hold on, I will read your questions in a second. Just gonna grab this guy's stuff. I don't really know if I want to do that. Alright, read questions. I mean... Okay. Yeah, I don't know much. I just have, you know, a degree in computer engineering. I honestly don't know what competitive settings are. If you can write in the chat exactly what it is, I can do it. Okay, competitive settings are pretty much all low except for view distance and max. I swear to God, competitive settings always change. I kind of wish that they would actually set it up for the epic view distance to actually show enemies from a further range, but I guess the added benefit of seeing the actual gun rather than the light up of it is useful enough, but I find that if I'm playing and I'm super far away from someone, I can see them hiding in a structure or in a bush from miles away. But if you were using Epic, you wouldn't even have seen them, you would have just seen the bush. Yeah, I'm not really that good. I put no time into this. I do it for fun. Probably. I don't know. When I first started making YouTube videos, it was a lot more fun. Now, it's not so much. But the only thing people want to watch is Fortnite. Nobody cares about other games. No, I do not trust that. It's a strange structure for someone just to build in the middle of nowhere. I kind of wish that they would make, like, I don't know, like a... I don't want to say an MMO per se on Fortnite, but maybe, like, something like that. It would be kind of cool if they made, like, a massively big map and you actually could level up your character and then join in on these sort of things. And I missed. Easy shot and I missed. So if I... Okay. You jerk. Took me forever getting this much shield. And I got shot by the first guy I was shooting at. Oh my god. Yeah, I should start playing Overwatch. I got a sweet game called Hand Simulator. Maybe I'll benchmark that. It's where you play this game where you do things with your hands. It's such a stupid game. I got it in one of those, like... I can't remember, my friend gifted it to me if I got it in one of those crappy, like, pay $5 to get 5 really crappy games on Steam. It'd be kind of cool if they randomly threw in a good one every once in a while. How's it going, man? Mr. Got cut from the basketball team. No. If you're getting this setup, then I wouldn't waste that kind of money. Unless there's a wicked deal on the 240 hertz, like the one that I got, I wouldn't go up that high. I personally think that one of the best deals that I keep seeing is the MSI 27-inch 165 hertz monitor. I've seen that go on sale $120 off. I think that one's actually pretty sweet. I would actually very much... Oh, sorry, it's a 32-inch 165 hertz. I don't trust those shitty people. I'm not sharing my library with them. I don't have friends. Where the heck is textures? There it is. Just try to make it to the bridge. I mean, if you get a 32-inch monitor, you don't have to play in full screen. You can play in a smaller resolution and get much higher FPS with it almost still filling the screen, which is kind of neat. And I'm dead already. Well, that's what I get for looking at my phone and not at the screen. Person's probably so proud. Don't worry, man, we're your friend. Previous chat. I guess I gotta go up. Up. I don't see your picture. I don't see it. Whatever you said, just repost it. Yes, the i5 9600K and the RTX 2070 Super is good for a 240Hz monitor. For this setup, I wouldn't get a 240Hz monitor for anything lower than a 2070 Super. Most games won't run nearly that high. You'll be able to play Minecraft on 240Hz, Fortnite for the most part, CSGO, all those sort of games. Maybe League of Legends? Maybe. But if you move up to a 2070 Super, you can play a lot more demanding games like Call of Duty at 230 FPS, so the 240 FPS is not too much out of reach. I haven't ever tried overclocking my GPU for that game, or overclocking my GPU in general. I've been pretty lazy about that. Yes, the i5 9600K and the RTX 2060 gets 240 FPS for the most part. I can just tell that someone's gonna land right on me and attack me from behind. I just have a sense that it's coming. Nope, no back of the head punch coming my way. Oh, that lag. Right. I have everything I need, I just can't die. I haven't ever played League of Legends. I played WoW for a very short time. Sucked at it. Oh, gotcha. Didn't hear that coming. I've been playing ESO lately since the new updates, and it's not a terrible game. But I do have to say that it doesn't really get nearly as high FPS as what I thought it was going to get. Oh, God. I thought that was a trap. I was like, oh no. God, no. Oh, this is just sweet. I dropped my first aid because I didn't think I needed it. How the heck did you get to the outside of the friggin' thing? And I'm leaving. Everyone's coming to finish me off. I will help you! You're betraying me! Why is there still one person left? Oh my god. Screw this game. Oh, the RX 5700 XT is a very cool card, as long as you don't get one with a blower, unless you're fine with a constant vacuum inside your PC. If you get one with a fan, I believe my friend was telling me that the one that he saw the worst reviews on was that MSI, like, gold, rose gold one, so don't get that one with the two fans. That one had really bad reviews or overheating problems. I can't remember. The best one would have been the XFX 5700 XT. I can't remember the name of it though. Yeah, blower cards are loud. Some people say that they're fine. There is a case made by Corsair, which is a soundproof one. My girlfriend's dad has it. I threw his PC in together, and you cannot hear a single sound come from that thing whatsoever. So if you had a case like that, and lights weren't a concern to you whatsoever, that is a really, really good case. I think it's a Corsair something something another S for silent or quiet, or maybe it's Q. Speaking of which, a random interesting thing is he still uses Windows XP Vista. I told him that I can upgrade him to Windows 10. He says he doesn't want to, and I bought him 8 GB of RAM for Christmas, and Windows XP or Vista or whatever one he's using doesn't allow over 4 GB of RAM, and it has to be 2 GB sticks max, so the computer just keeps crashing. So I think he's pretty much forced to upgrade at some point, or at least unplug those hard drives and get a new hard drive just to use Windows 10 when he needs to do whatever he needs to do. Save it on his old backup, he could just switch back, I guess. But I thought it was interesting that it doesn't allow 8 GB of RAM, which is crazy. No, the Corsair doesn't really restrict airflow whatsoever. When we were looking up reviews on a lot of people that use gaming rigs that just don't want any lights or sound, said that the cooling temps were only about 5 to 6 Celsius more. Well, this guy's on to me. Stormtrooper! No, dead. You heard me coming. You knew. No, not really. Has some sort of weird mesh on both sides, sort of like how luxury cars have that foam in the roof and in the doors, so that way you can't hear outside noise. So it has that on both sides, and the fans at the front have just one small slit through the front, but it's quite large. But it looks like it kind of has like a narrow entrance and two slots, I would say, going on different angles. So it's definitely restricting an echo noise. And then the one fan in the back, and then two can go up top. But it also again has a sheet over top of it with multiple holes, which I'm sure would restrict a little bit of airflow and noise, but not overly. When I lock it to 240, it gets a lot more FPS drop. My backup one, sure. MSI 27-inch 144 hertz. It is this one. This is on .ca, so that price is not the same as what it would be in America, but this is the one that I have. Curved, has a spot for your headset on the back. I like it. Has the crosshairs on screen, which is pretty cool. Let me just see if I can pull it up on Amazon.com. MSI 27 144. It's currently on sale. That's not a terrible price. I really like it. I have no screen tearing whatsoever. The image looks super, super crisp. And yeah. Yeah, 144 Hz monitor for this setup is perfectly fine. Most games actually run at around 120 frames, even like games like Subnautica or Call of Duty on higher settings. So 144 Hz is absolutely perfect. Ever since I got the 240 Hz, when I switch back to this, I really don't notice too much of a difference, to be 100% honest. The only reason I do better on my other setup is because I'm used to that keyboard and mouse. This one's not a mechanical keyboard and only has two buttons on the side. I'm gonna die. Where you going, friend? We're gonna be friends. Fishing for friends. That's a nice guy. I mean, locking FPS will keep your GPU temps lower for the most part, but if it's 240, yeah, I don't think there's a point. But let's say you were playing on 140 Hz, locking it to 165 will pull down my GPU temps after, like, maybe even a couple seconds. So 67 was what it was at before. Let's just see if it goes down. Just feel a gunshot to the back of my head coming. I just got a deep cool liquid cooler 240. I did have to switch out my fans because the MSI motherboard I had didn't allow it to switch between colors, so I switched over to my Cooler Master RGBs and just bought a $5 header, or sorry, controller. Same RPM speed. Now we just have 2 useless DP coolers. Alright, what did you say? So there's 2 reasons your fans can be loud, depending on how it's hooked up. If they didn't hook it up with a fan header and it's just plugged into the power supply, it usually defaults to the fastest speed. You would have to just buy 1 female end to 5 male end, or less, but that one's probably the best, and hook up the rest of your fans up to the motherboard so you can actually control it. Is this guy blind? Maybe if I don't move, he won't see me. He almost ran past me. Hello. Maybe that's the same guy as last time. Yeah, building's not very hard. 2 of my friends that literally know nothing about computers were able to build a PC just with those random videos that I threw together. That's why I built that really cheap PC I have with the Ryzen 5 1600 and the RX 570. It's the only reason I built it. And then I have to drive 6 hours to my friend's house to sell him that one and then spend a couple days with him. So that will be fun. And a really, really long drive, which I'm not looking forward to. Nope, this is my house. This is mine. Get out of here. Thank you. Oh, you're trying to trick me? Ah, damn it, I was reading. Yeah, I have videos on how to build one. I think it's like 8 videos from start to finish. It's nothing pretty whatsoever. It is not pretty. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. So what you can do if your fans are connected to the motherboard... Ah, crap, I didn't mean to exit out. Hold on. So if your fans are connected to the motherboard, you can actually just use this MSI fan speed thing. Change from auto, and you can actually dictate how fast it's going. The only problem is if you're make sure to be watching it. Make sure it's not getting too hot if you lower the fans. And then just have to patiently wait for this to come back. Waiting, 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 waiting. There we go. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm pretty sure if you go to my playlist, there should be the 10 videos or 7 or whatever it is. I can't remember the number. The only thing you're going to need is a USB and access to another computer to download Windows 10. And then you can buy Windows 10 Pro on Amazon.ca for incredibly cheap. And they email you the code. Just go to Amazon.ca and then Windows 10 Pro. I believe it's $14 Canadian currently. Right here. Yeah, $14. So you buy it from these guys, and then they email you the code. One left in stock. That's bullcrap. I feel like they always have that. And then email. Usually it says 8 hours, but I believe that I had to wait 24 for mine. And I bought it probably 7 times now. Why the heck did it lock to 60? Actually, I am curious on one thing. Do you want to try VSync? That the Ryzen 5 and the 1660 Super would run perfectly fine. And what were you saying? Yeah, they do put red on every gaming monitor. You think that at some point they would have come out with different colors or at least options, because most of the time those parts are pop off. You can actually pop them off. I actually painted my my stand on my 75 Hz monitor before I sold it. I painted the stand green. I'm currently painting a ton of the parts on my PC case. I'm tired of it being just flat black. It just showed so much dust. So I just took off several pieces just to give it a quick paint. When I don't have G-Sync on, I get a ton of screen tearing. I would probably say about 3 or 4 screen tears. To the point where sometimes when I look at buildings, the textures don't line up whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know why screens don't come with RGB. It's like incredibly inexpensive. I mean, you can buy one of those ones for the strips for a TV and just slap it on the back. That's probably your cheapest option. It just plugs in via USB. I always do that. I always forget that there's that stupid ledge. Oh, I don't know about that. I'd rather take a little bit of stuttering than screen tearing. Because I feel like stuttering happens a lot less than screen tearing. It's pretty good build. The only thing that, if you haven't bought those parts yet, is you don't need 3200 MHz for an Intel. 3000 is probably as high as you would possibly need to get any sort of gaming performance increase. If it was a Ryzen, it would be a different story. The difference between Ryzen with a 2133 versus like a Ryzen with a 3000 is about 7% performance increase. And the 3200 I think is a 10%, making it the best bang for your buck. And then after that it goes up slowly. But Intel doesn't really use RAM speed too much. Unless you're rendering videos a lot, then the RAM speed definitely will factor in and be useful. Yeah, 700 watts are definitely overkill. There's only like 1 or 2 GPUs that actually need it. Well, the RTX 2080 Ti and then older version cards, like an older 1080 Ti would probably be more beneficial having a 700 watt to be safe. But yeah, 700 watts. Anything over 500 is really made for 2 graphics cards. The only reason I got one is that I used to run an RX 580 and a GTX 1060 at the same time, just so I could easily switch between my builds. I would just disable one from the other. Just can't wait for this guy to come over. There he is. it's actually smart. Setup. Yeah, that setup is totally fine. I hate this guy. So irritating. And I get killed by the other guy. Right on, man. If I replace my SSD with one with more storage, no, you wouldn't. You would have to use I don't know if I'm gonna be able to open it. Bear with me for a second. Reflect. So you can have multiple ones hooked up, but for whatever reason, if you're getting rid of it, you would need to clone your partition onto the other SSD. So there is a thing, I can't remember the name. It's Reflex something. It starts with an M. I can't remember, but yeah, I have videos of it, and it's pretty straightforward. You just have to go to the cloning program, and then it will ask you which drive you want cloned, clone it over to your new one if you're not going to keep it for whatever reason, but you can use multiple hard drives. Like my one computer has 2 SSDs, one M.2 SSD, and 2 hard drives. The Windows for gaming doesn't really matter, but the cheapest one that you could possibly get is the Windows 10 Pro from Amazon.ca for $14. So usually that's the one that everyone has. They email you the code, so it doesn't matter if you live in Canada or not. You just buy it, it will convert your money automatically, and then, yeah. I don't have a GTX 1660. Yeah, that setup's really good. It'll be more than enough. Yeah, you can have multiple SSDs. You just have to take a quick little gander at your motherboard and make sure that has more of the SATA plugs. If it's a regular SSD, usually most motherboards come with 4. So usually you can have 4 hard drives. So you might as well transfer all the information that are Windows files over to your SSD and try to leave the SSD with Windows file around 50% at most. That way your Windows will load up a lot faster and will help your computer have a lot less stuttering. Yeah, 480 gigabytes is more than enough to store Fortnite and a bunch of other games. Most of my friends only have 500 M.2 SSDs, and I believe they usually hold up around 6 games, like Apex Legends, Fortnite, Windows Files, WoW. We play The Forest, 7 Days to Die, and Deceit. And they have that all on there, and I'm pretty sure they still have room left over for everything else. Not overly. Some motherboards actually have 7 slots, or yeah, 7, because they have 2 stacked forward and then 2 separate, and then usually one right on top of the other. 6 or 7. I can't remember what my MSI board has on my other one. This one I believe only has 4 on this PC. So on this PC I have, here I can just pull it up. I don't really care if I die. So So on this PC I have, these two are the same. This one and this one are the same. So this is my standard SSD. This one is my hard drive. This one is the extra partition of the SSD, and this is my M2 SSD. Sometimes breaking into smaller partitions can speed it up. It automatically did for me, and I didn't really feel like changing it. So usually I keep important files on the smallest partition, like resumes, stuff like that, scans of my diplomas, things that I just don't want to lose, or accidentally delete, so that way it's not part of the rest of it. That one's a hard one. So if you're using the same motherboard, you'll keep your files. If you're not, you have a good chance you're gonna lose them. So, how's the best way to explain this? If you switch out your motherboard, but you're keeping all the rest of the same components, and you run that for a little bit, you won't lose any of your files for whatever reason. If you switch out your motherboard, most of the time you do lose your Windows files. But if you do drag over the hard drive, I haven't really done that too many times, so I can't say for certain, but there should be a way to pull up your files. I'm sure there's a video on how to do it properly. I just don't know it off by heart. Because there's always people talking about when they sold their old PCs, they didn't properly remove all their files and someone stole their banking information, so I'm sure there's a way to do it properly if you're trying to reload your information. No, I don't. But I can make one, because I have to put a hard drive in my other one. It might not be an SSD, but the exact same sort of thing. Oh, you took my shield, you dick. Are you rocking 2 assault rifles? Yeah, so you're probably gonna lose your files unless there's got to be a way for you to keep them. I just don't know it off by heart. Because the computer works in a weird way. Your ID is saved to your motherboard, so your Windows ID, which most of your files will be saved in Windows files. When you switch out the motherboard, it might automatically default you to reformat it. But I would get your computer up and going, and then change it all. Get it up and going without the hard drive. This guy's a dick. And that's what you get. So back to what I was saying, get your computer up and going first, and then try adding the hard drive. At that point, it shouldn't force you to create a new partition, and you might be able to still see your files. See if it opens in that way. And yeah, that should work. If it doesn't, I'm sure there's a video that you can pull up your files, so you don't have to lose everything. Because I mean, if you saved to everything little by little to a USB stick and then brought it over to your new computer and transfer the files like that, that would work as well. It might take a little while if you have only a little USB stick, but I mean, 32 gigabytes are sold pretty cheap. That should only be a couple times of doing it. See if we can find this guy. Oh, almost got him. Wonder how much health he had left. Oh, so close. I have 4 PCs. I think on this channel I've had 10? Probably 10. My original Cyberpower, my second Cyberpower, my third Cyberpower. The one that I randomly built out of just crappy parts, just for emulating games. Then I made a half-decent one for my girlfriend, which was the Ryzen 3 and the 1060. Then I had the Ryzen 3 and the RX 580. And then I got the Ryzen 5 1600 with the RX 580. Then I just got the Ryzen 3600 and the 2060. Then my i5 9600K and the 2070 Super. And then the random computers that I built over the time. And then I even bought a computer for a brief time and gave it away. I bought a computer for $200 with an i5 750 and the R9 290, and actually ran games on medium settings at 60 FPS, which is actually quite good for only being $200. The only downfall to that computer, it came with everything that pretty much perfect, except for the hard drive was just a 240 gigabyte SSD, but it was able to hold, I would say, 4 games at a time while still having space and running perfectly proper. I did have to overclock the i5 a little bit to be able to run the R9 290. It's just under the RX 480, I would say. It's pretty similar to that, so the FPS was actually quite good. A little bit behind, but not overly. It's weird, I can't move. My game's like, nah. There we go. It's like pulling me to the right for some reason. Like I'm not touching my keyboard and it's pulling me. Weird. I always get that every once in a while if I have the menu open. I mean, a computer to go to 240 Hz would be my i5 9600K 2070 Super, and that runs multiple games on 240, and this would be a little bit overkill on 144 Hz. I would say a Ryzen 5 1600, well, for current price, the 2600 would be better price, and the RX 570. Pretty much that build that I did on the choosing an Xbox over a PC or vice versa, that but then replace the CPU with a slightly stronger one would be a perfect 144 Hz for not very expensive. Just replace the Ryzen 3 with Ryzen 5 2600 just to be more safe than sorry, but the Ryzen 3 should be able to pull 144 Hz in this, no problem. Especially with the new updates that AMD has come out with to make the Ryzen 3 will work better. But it would need an overclock of 3.8, which should be perfectly fine with the stock cooler. 3.7 would probably be a little bit more beneficial on heating, but yeah, it would work. So, just recap, the Ryzen 5 2600, 2 sticks of RAM at 3200 speed. The RX 570 Asus would probably be the best bang for your buck currently. M2 SSD would honestly probably make the computer run a lot better. You probably wouldn't need overclocking whatsoever, and that should run Fortnite at 144 Hz, no problem. It would actually run several games decently at over 80 FPS on higher settings. Sometimes it would be your cable. That used to happen to me, and what fixed it for me was just switching out my cable. For that monitor, it was my 75 hertz, so I was using an HDMI, and for whatever reason, if even the cable got shifted even like slightly, it would cut out. It took me a long time to realize what the problem was. It would, the screen would randomly lose connection and then go black, and then it would turn itself off after a couple seconds, so I'd always have to turn it back on. And then, yeah, just a simple fix of just switching the cable did it for me. Because normally if it was your computer that was losing signal like that, it would actually tell you or put your computer into a safe mode just so it didn't damage any parts. I only got one. It's just bull crap. He should be able to get a little bit higher than 200 FPS if he overclocks the CPU a little. I mean, for certain monitors, they'll turn themselves off if they don't have a signal for over 3 seconds. It wasn't my monitor turning off, it was just my cord getting shifted, so it would lose the signal for a couple seconds, which was enough to make it go into sleep mode. I would start with changing your cord. It would be the cheapest and easiest thing, and most people have an extra display cord hanging around. You know what? It's not worth keeping this. I'm gonna regret dropping 3 of these. Considering I'm not getting shot at, I guess this is the end of it. Can I... I'm not exactly sure what that question is. Where is this guy? Why was this guy not fighting back? I don't know what the hell they're saying. I have no idea. I have no idea about changing any of that. I thought you meant, like, because a lot of people buy cases, and then they actually get a piece of glass cut for their case. They just get the holes lined up, or a piece of plastic. So I know there's a bunch of manufacturers that actually do that. About your case, I have no idea. I've never had a case like that, or a desk like that. Okay, pick up the thing. Come on. Don't want a fishing rod. And not much I could do there. I'm only... Yeah, your setup would be totally fine for 144 hertz. They're kind of expensive. It's best to wait till Black Friday. Uh, 144 1ms is a lot better than 144 4ms. I don't know, it always changes. Let's just take a quick little gander at Amazon. So for price, my cousin has this one. He says he really, really likes it. He has no problems with it whatsoever. It has FreeSync, so it works with G-Sync. But then there's other companies that have slightly bigger ones for, you know, not that much more. For the like these two versus each other, I would definitely go with the Acer. It's more of a brand name. But this one, for instance, 165 hertz, 1ms. Doesn't say how big it is, but for 160 bucks, yeah, that's actually not bad. So something like this, I would definitely recommend. Let's just see what ports it has. I don't understand how come sometimes it does that zoom up image like that, and then other times it's like, nah, you can't do that. 1ms FreeSync, so it will work with your G-Sync, and it looks like it has an HDMI and a DP, so that's perfect. 165 refresh rate, 1ms fast speed response time, and it also has a low profile around. So if you got two monitors and then extended them together to make a bigger monitor, it would actually look quite good, considering it only has that small little split. The 1ms is always better. I mean, the only time it's worth getting a 4ms screen is if you're getting a really, really good deal on one of those widescreen, because it's really expensive to get a 1ms. Getting one of those like 26-inch widescreen LGs at 144 hertz. If it was that, then I would consider it, only because those ones have the splitting capability where you can have two images in one. Sorry, two different images, so you don't have to have multiple monitors. You can just split the two screens in half. guy's got a shotgun. Oh, and shield. Oh, low bull crap. What'd I get? Nothing. Nice English. Don't be dicks. I don't really know what direct is. I imagine that means poor. I mean, you can buy a desktop Dell from Amazon.com and then a used 1050 Ti and it will run most games, and that should be under, I would say, 250 bucks. Should be, if you get a decent deal. Let's see. Dell refurbished desktop. This guy right here. It's actually a little bit too much money. This one. 158 bucks. Go with this bad boy right here. It's got the i5 3470 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, perfectly good processor. Has 2 sticks of RAM, and the power supply in it is enough to run 1050 Ti, which currently is ridiculously overpriced. Like, you can buy a 1050 Ti or you can buy a GTX 1060 3GB for the same price, but the power supply in that computer won't be strong enough to run that. But if you're looking for a budget, that Dell desktop with the 1050 Ti will run most games on medium settings at 60 frames, absolutely no problem. Without having to spend a lot of money, it runs a little bit better than an Xbox One. Ooh, that lag. Alright, this is gonna be my last game. My phone is about to die. So if anyone has any questions, quickly ask them before I die. So I will probably die instantly. Nice, that's a pretty good monitor. No thanks. Alright, and that's enough playing for me. Thanks for watching.